Hey guys, it's Zoe, your fave adventure therapist, and I am so excited to share with you guys today on our very first episode of Travel Talk Tuesdays. I thought it would only be fitting for our first discussion to be on the first thing that anybody needs in order to start their travel journey, and that's deciding to go. So I'm here to tell you guys that not only is taking your dream trip possible, but it is absolutely necessary for your psychological, emotional, and even spiritual well-being. I mean, there are so many benefits to traveling and experiencing the world, so it is a must-do. But what I've learned is that many of us, myself included, have fallen into this trap of rationalizing our dreams away. I mean, I've heard everything from traveling is just too expensive. Like, there's so many things to consider and my finances just aren't what I would hope they would be. I don't have the money to give to travel right now. Or I'm just really busy. I've got a lot of other priorities and responsibilities that I've got to keep up with. I don't have the time to squeeze in a trip right now. Maybe you've got kids and you've got to weigh the decision of whether or not you want to include them in your travel plans. And then there's fear that, you know what, I have not done this before. I've never been to this place before. I don't speak the language. I don't know if it's safe. Am I even gonna have a good time? And then a big one that I used to deal with was I wanna go to all these places, but I just don't have anyone to go with. And you know what? All of these reasons are valid. They're true and they're real. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna dig into at least the top 3 reasons that people don't want to participate in travel. And we're going to uncover some of those limiting beliefs because it is possible to travel and it's possible to do it even if you don't have everything in order right now. So the first one we're going to discuss is expenses. And this is probably the most common rationalization that is given for why people don't travel. And understandably so. I mean, when you consider flights, hotels, food, transportation, within your destination, other preliminary expenses that you have to consider. Traveling can add up, but there are things that you can do beforehand and during your trip to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. So one of those things is taking advantage of frequent flyer mile programs. So depending on the airline that you love to fly with the most, there are usually programs that you can sign up for where you get actual points for traveling. And so you can add those points up so when you're ready to redeem them for maybe a bigger trip, they're readily available. Now, if you can't cash in on your frequent flyer miles just yet, there are also apps that you can utilize that keep track of when flight prices are at their lowest. So my personal favorite is the Hopper app. You just input your destination, the dates that you're traveling, and it notifies you of which airlines and rates are cheapest at that moment and when they're expected to spike up again so that you can get the best deal at the best time. Another thing that I absolutely love is my Travel Rewards credit card. So I have a Chase Sapphire card, and it's one of those things where when you sign up, it's kind of like a signing bonus. So after you meet certain requirements, you get a large sum of points, which can be transferred into cash back, or you can apply them towards redeemable purchases. And so even after you've gotten that initial bonus, every time you use the card, you actually get points back that can kind of save up to be redeemed at a certain time on purchases that you're already making. And then there are certain things like travel, transportation, food and dining that you get double the points for using the card. And so that's a way to get points a lot quicker. Another thing in alignment with expenses is you can go somewhere dope. You can go somewhere really cool, but it can also be really cheap. So I found that places in some parts of Asia like Thailand, Bali, Vietnam, or in the Caribbean or South America like Argentina, Honduras, all those places, you can go to these places and they are really, really cheap and affordable to get there. You can actually live like royalty for like pennies on the dollar. And so really doing your research and making sure that the places that you go are in your budget, but they can also be really cool experiences. And then also making sure that you are budgeting before trips to cover your expenses. I personally like to make sure that all of my expenses are covered before I get to the destination, just so that I don't have to worry about that. But even when you're trying to save up money, just kind of cutting back on some of the expenses that you don't really need. So maybe you don't need that extra Starbucks for the week, or maybe, you don't need your Netflix right now if you're trying to save up for a big trip. So just finding little things that you don't actually need for your day-to-day life and cutting back on those just so that you can reach your financial goals. So the second most commonly used rationalization for people not wanting to travel is that they simply don't have the time to give. I mean, it's hard to find time away from work, from family, from friends, from all these other responsibilities that we have, but the goal is to make the time. I find that we make time for the things that are important to us. So it's really on us to get our priorities straight. Traveling is a way of investing in yourself, and you absolutely need this time. As I said before, it is an investment in your psychological and emotional stability. And so a lot of times we feel like we don't have that time, but you don't actually need that much time. Sure, taking a month off to backpack around Europe is ideal, and it may be a dream come true, but maybe a smaller scale would be just to extend your weekend by a day or two, or maybe just to take the afternoon off to travel 2 hours away from where you're currently living just to explore something new. The key is really to just get out of your bubble and do something different to break up the monotony of your daily routines. And so this final one, I'm just going to go over really quickly because I actually think that this one deserves an episode all on its own. And this number 3 reason is that you just simply don't have anyone to go with you on the trips. Like I said before, this was a big one for me. Maybe I had friends or family that, their reasoning was finances or time. And so I was left having to figure out, do I actually want to go on this trip still, or do I just want to wait until I can find someone? And so I was kind of in this sticky position because it's like I was limiting myself from being able to explore and experience new things, but I also had the fear of having to do it by myself. And so there are ways that you can build community and find ways to explore and travel with others at your destination. And so one of those things is maybe staying at a hostel. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I've actually never stayed at a hostel, but there are hotels and living arrangements that you can stay in where there are other solo travelers or individuals where you can really break ground and meet new people along your journey. Also, making sure that you're planning out your events. So if you have an itinerary where you have scheduled tours and things to do, it's easier to navigate and you won't feel like you're lost in the middle of a new place. Also, put your trip out there. If you've decided that you want to go somewhere new and you don't have anyone to go with, share that with other people that, hey, I'm going somewhere, and there might be someone that might see that you put that maybe on your Facebook page or Instagram page and decide, you know what, I think I might want to join you. And that's another opportunity for maybe you to branch outside of your immediate circle and meet some fellow travelers that you might even know. And so I'll end our time together by saying a lot of times we're not always going to have our ducks in a row. But once we make that decision to go, there are things that we can put in place to make sure that we have everything that we need in order to plan leading up to our trip. Our finances might not be there right in that moment, but we can work to get them there by the time our trip departs. We might not have anyone to go with, but we can build community and form relationships maybe through social media with other people in those countries, or we might reach out to people that we might not normally think to travel with in our own networks that we already know that can participate with us. And we might not have the time to go, but we can shuffle around and figure out what works best for us to even get a little moment away from our day-to-day lives. So the first step in deciding to travel anywhere, whether you're traveling within your country, outside of your country, within your state, is to just decide that that's something that you want to do, because you want to reap all the benefits that come with stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this Travel Talk Tuesday, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.